Can you rise to the pledge? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call.
Mrs. Fryrick? Here. Mr. Posnell?
Here.
Mr. Robinson?
Here.
Mr. Sanders?
Here.
Mr. Spilett?
Here.
Mrs. Schrader?
Here.
Mr. Sears?
Here.
Mr. Tillman?
Here.
Mr. Watts?
Thank you. A reminder, please silence your cell phones for the meeting tonight. And this is our first opportunity for public comment. All comments and questions will be addressed to the president of the board. Board staff members will not normally respond to questions, and we will limit our questions to 5 minutes or less. If you have any comments, please come forward and state your name and address.
My name is Dick Raw. I live at 2401 Cambridge Road. I recently attended the honors choir, and a number of suburban students were there, and it went well, and so you usually probably all feel very well as what they did, and they asked that they award the honors choir. I have one question for you. I live on Cambridge, as I mentioned here, and I've observed recently, in fact for some time, from time to time, buses with the old contract that you have going up and down to Cambridge. I'm curious as to why that would be happening. I wonder if I have their names for that.
Mr. Stopp, are you comfortable answering that question? I don't know if we can defer. We just happen to have.
Okay, pretty good. So that's my question. Good.
Yeah, the only buses for us that will be going to the neighborhood are Perma Lines. Other school districts who might be transporting students through the area who are still using Durham might still have buses traveling through the area.
They're almost, sometimes almost following the new contract. That's what surprised me.
Yeah, they're definitely not our buses. We don't have any buses through Durham.
I thought you totally closed that down. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
that.
Mr. Stopp.
You have before you the minutes of the planning committee meeting of April 9th, 2018, and the regular monthly meeting of March 26th, 2018. Second. This will be, this is a vote. Mason. Ms. Mason. Yeah, simple vote. Okay. Mr. Sears.
We have before you the consent agenda. We have a consent agenda tonight on the treasurer's report. Would any board member like any of the items considered separately, or are there questions on any of these items? If not, the chair moves approval of the below mentioned items.
Second.
This will be considered a unanimous roll call vote unless they are votes to the contrary. Hearing none, motion passes.
Thank you. The negotiations committee of the board met with the YSE SPA and administrative representatives on April 4th, 2018 and April 16th, 2018 for contract discussions. No official action was taken. The committee of the board met on April 10th, 2018 executive session during the personnel committee meeting as permitted by section 707 of the Sunshine Act for the purpose of discussing matters of personnel. No official action was taken. The board met on April 16th in executive session as permitted by section 707 of the Sunshine Act for the purpose of discussing matters of personnel. No official action was taken. And the board also met prior to this meeting in executive session is permitted by Section 707 of the Sunshine Act for the purpose of discussing matters of personnel and contracts. No official action was taken. At this point, you have before you, and I would like to propose a motion to approve the contractual agreement set forth with the addendum supplied on April 23rd, 2018 for a new superintendent, Dr. Williams.
Second. So moved.
We have a...
So moved.
Just a second.
Mr. Tillman?
Yes.
Mrs. Schrader?
Yes.
Mr. Posnell?
Yes.
Mr. Sears?
Yes.
Mr. Scalett?
Yes.
Mrs. Fryder?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes. Dr. Williams, would you like to stand up? The acting superintendent's report, Dr. Rand.
Okay, first item, I want to bring folks up to date on our enrollment. And we've been having a conversation about 18, 19 kindergarten numbers. We had a major push for kindergarten registration and screening. Right now at Yorkshire Elementary, we know of 97 students that would be part of our 18, 19 kindergarten class at Yorkshire. And Valley View, right now, we're looking at 89. The number you're looking at there is our current enrollment, but keeping in mind our conversation that we've had about class size for kindergarten, we're teetering on those numbers if we get everyone registered that we need. And we're at that bubble right now where we could use additional kindergarten teachers. So we'll keep you posted as we move through before we make a final budget recommendation on the number of kindergarten enrollment, our kindergarten teachers. Next item on my agenda, twofold objective here. We talk about student services, and I just want to bring the full board up to date on conversations that have occurred at the most recent personnel committee. As you remember, we have a position in the budget as it relates to student services, whether that's social services or mental health. We continue to have those conversations about where the most need is for the district at this point in time. I've scheduled a meeting with our administrative team in early May to dig deep into how that position might manifest itself. At our last meeting, we had received a letter from a senior by the name of Sydney Strickler, and Sydney is here with us tonight and has asked to provide the board with some follow-up as it relates to the data that she had collected. So Sydney and Dr. Rupert, if you folks want to share with the board some of your research finding as it relates to mental health needs, that would be great.
Good evening. As he said, I'm Sydney Strickler, senior at York Suburban High School. So I could say that bringing awareness to mental health has been a passion of mine for quite some time. I've been president of the Students Against Destructive Decisions chapter at the high school for the past 2 years, and I was a part of the Silence Ends Here the first year it started. It's a student-led organization dedicated to spreading awareness of mental health to York County. I'm currently interning at Family Child Resources with Lucretia Shelton. As part of this internship, I go to Valley View and the middle school with her to help lead kids and teens groups where we focus on different areas such as social skills, impulse control, and coping skills. Across the nation, mental illness is a growing epidemic. According to the National Alliance of Mental Illness, 1 in 5 teens aged 13 to 18 experience a severe mental disorder in their lifetime. They also state that the third leading cause of death for teens aged 10 to 24 is suicide. The increase in mental illness in this country has led to a higher patient-doctor ratio, which in turn decreases the treatment available. More locally, Data USA reports that York County has a mental health clinician to patient ratio of 1 to 96. These specific statistics horrified me, as they should you too. So I set out to research about our mental health programs here at York Suburban as part of my senior English project. And two things prevailed. We need to do more to promote awareness of mental health services already provided, and we need to openly support those struggling. As part of my research, I sent out a survey to the high school students and staff. I asked broad questions such as, do you think our school supports those with mental illnesses? And more specific questions like, how many students do you know struggling with mental illness? I received more than 200 responses. Once I finally sat down to review the response summary, I was shocked. Students were asked, do you discuss your mental health with your guidance counselor? 90% of those who answered responded no. When asked if their guidance counselor discusses the effects of vigorous classes on their mental health, again, 80% of students responded no. Now, this is by no means an attack on the guidance department. The entire mental health discussion and support, specifically at the high school, needs improvement. Students are unaware of the resources that we do provide. Only 38% of students knew about the SAP program, and many responded by saying that there is a school-based therapist and social worker, which is not true. SAP is the Student Assistant Program that is designed to help students overcome problems that pose a barrier on the academic achievement. Staff and students can make referrals if they are concerned about someone's behaviors. Not having the correct information about such an important topic leads to more problems. Staff is also seeing the lack of mental health support in the school. 76% of staff members believe that the school supports those with mental illnesses, yet only 30% think that there's an emphasis on students' mental health in regards to classes and extracurricular activities. When staff members were asked on a scale of 1 to 10, how often do you discuss mental health topics with students? The average of 46 answers was a 4.6. Teachers are not talking about mental health in their classrooms, yet they believe that the school supports those with mental illnesses. If we aren't talking about the problem, how can we truly support those experiencing the problem? Mental health is something that we can talk about in each class. It's not specific to math or English. Every teacher can incorporate mindfulness and the importance of anxiety coping skills into their classrooms, as well as a variety of other mental health topics. But I believe there's a way to fix these problems. We need to make the York Suburban environment a place where it's okay for students to say, I'm struggling right now. The more we discuss something, the less stigma it has. I believe a three-pronged intervention is a great place to start. First, educate about all the resources already available in school and about the signs of common mental illnesses to the staff and students. Then we also need to educate the parents. Clearly, the guidance department is being stretched too far, so we need to create a job specifically for the advocacy of students' mental health, perhaps a student's mental health coordinator. This person will work alongside the guidance department to assist with crisis situations, meet with the students individually to counsel them, and to go to classrooms and teach coping skills and mindfulness techniques. This person can be the go-to for teachers when they're not sure what to do and provide outreach for parents. I believe that there should be a student's mental health coordinator in each building for this addition to be effective. As a district, we can promote mental wellness by having district-wide spirit days such as Mindfulness Monday, where we take 15 minutes in the middle of the day to practice the mindfulness techniques that are being taught by the student's mental health coordinator. I am well aware of the difficulties surrounding such drastic change. However, the health and safety of students are at risk. There have been so many tragedies recently at Suburban and surrounding districts that the mental health of students needs to be a priority. We don't want to be a part of another horrifying statistic. Thank you.
As you can see from the remarks that Sydney shared, this approach is much more complicated than just hiring a person and putting a job description together, which is why we wanted to step back and meet with our administrative team, dig deep into the data that was provided very succinctly with the study, and have a recommendation for this board that does attack some of the systemic problems that were outlined. So really personally want to acknowledge the work you've done, Sydney, and thank you for being an advocate. Next on my agenda also is a student-related report, and I have two students, Allie Reniker and Carter Fry. Allie, are you going to make the introductory remarks?
Good evening, and thank you so much for your time. My name is Ali Reinecker, and I'm the president of Impact Foundation, which is a student-led board serving as a committee of the York Suburban Education Foundation. I am here to update you on the progress of the weekend backpack programs throughout the district since some of my fellow IF team members presented to you last December. To date, 5 out of the 6 buildings have weekend food backpack programs to address the needs of food insecure students in our district. Eastminster Presbyterian started 2 years ago, working with Dr. Furman to fund and feed East York students. This served as a template for other programs to get started. Life Path Ministries, who in relationship with a middle school math teacher and Dr. Krauser, began feeding middle school students this year. In February, St. John Lutheran, along with a YS alumni as their minister, worked with Dr. Stoltz as Yorkshire's funding and operating partner. Luther Memorial, located next to the high school, is the church YSEF and the Impact Foundation partner with to feed Valley View and Indian Rock children, and we have plans to expand to the high school in the fall. In 2 short years, York Suburban School District's community partnerships have grown from having no weekend food backpack programs to having one in every building by the end of this September. I now have the pleasure of introducing a video created by a fellow senior, Carter Fry. It's a great snapshot of how our community works together to do more for York Suburban students. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Next year, you will get to take home books in English to keep at home, but you will also get to take a Spanish book home too that matches the English book. And you know what's even better? You get to keep it at home. It's your book to keep. And look inside, open it up. There is too much of that. What do you think? You can color the pictures and make it your own.
York Suburban Education Foundation is a community of people that have come together to help do more for York Suburban students. YSEF gives grants to teachers so they can do more in their classrooms, and we also fund social programs through the student-led Impact Foundation like Food for Thought and the Impact Closets.
Nation is a student-run board that works to provide suburban families with supplies that they can't afford. In the Impact Closets, we have snacks, clothes, school supplies, hygiene products. This year we started the Food for Thought backpack program. Every Thursday we have about 5 or 6 Impact Foundation members come to Luther Memorial Church next door to pack their backpacks.
We have everything from milk, fresh fruit, canned foods, some snacks like crackers, fruit snacks. It's really a whole balanced diet.
At the end of the day, they come to my office. The children are very excited to come and pick up their backpack.
We have about 50 students between Valley View and Indian Rock, and they'll just send them over them over the weekend so they have a sustainable meal just in case they don't have food for that day.
yoga is a great way to help develop, make a brain-body connection and move with their breath, just connecting that body and movement. What it is we're doing a little bit of mindfulness tied with the yoga and how that all blends together, not only on the mat, but as well as off the mat and into the classroom.
First of all, seeing these little dudes do yoga is just a riot. A whole classroom of first and second graders, kindergartners, being able to experience learning calming and learning how to deal with stress. But as in most things, kids just have fun with everything they do.
So we're facing the camera.
STEAM is a district-wide initiative with VR only being a part of it.
I've heard students say this is the best day of my life. The day that I get to use the virtual reality. The benefit has just been amazing, and I've just never seen kids who were excited about learning.
I am actually checking out Christ the Redeemer. It's a statue that was built by the Europeans. Jack, I think it was Portuguese actually.
They've been excited throughout the whole process of the greenhouses. We already planted the seeds and started then the growing. We started them in the lobby. Now we're in the process of taking them out into the greenhouses. Here we go. We've been checking the plants almost on a daily basis because they needed a lot of water. They dry out very quickly, and I suspect that out in the greenhouses will also continue to dry out.
Whenever I tell somebody I'm an English as a second language teacher, they always ask, what languages do you speak? And I have to say none. Because if you think about it, when I told a group of students, I could have each student speaking a different language. Imagine Learning is a language program that students can use on a tablet or a computer, and it focuses on the 5 core reading areas. What's unique about the program is that it supports students with their primary language, and then gradually that is taken away once they're learning more English. So the summer parties, number 1 is for students to be rewarded for all of their hard work. Come see your friends, enjoy some pizza.
I still remember the discussion at the YSEP board level when a bunch of business people were trying to get their heads around whether or not we should buy pizza as a grant. Escaping language limits, like anything and most things in life, is all about the people.
When I think of help, I don't think of doing for others. I think of helping them do for themselves.
Help to me would be supporting another person and enabling them to move forward from where they are to the next step.
When I think of help, I think great people. People who see that something is necessary and they're not afraid to get in there and do it.
Help is a community coming together to make sure everybody has what they need to be healthy, to be happy, and to be successful.
Health is people. That's it. Health is people. In our case, health is, here we go, people helping kids. At the end of the day, it's all about the kids.
Love if we could give a round of applause to Carter. We could not have done it without
And Dr. Ellis, I'm going to let you be the first administrative report to follow up with your high school students.
I talked to Dr. Redding ahead of time, and that just, I hope for my report a little bit today to be to showcase some of our fine seniors and the work that they've done, from Allie's leadership at the Impact Foundation to Carter with all his videos and Sydney with her work with mental health. They're great representatives of our senior class that are going to be leaving us here shortly, but they've done a great job. And it's interesting to see when their passion aligns up with opportunities in school, how well things can emerge, and they're great examples of that. And Carter's work is completely outside of his schoolwork now. He did a couple of classes in video communications, but much of his work is self-taught, and as you can see there, that really is professional caliber work from him. So I know he's going to go on to great things to that end. And Allie is, as the Impact Foundation board president, they meet monthly. Actually, they do sometimes twice a month to keep the work of that going forward and to see Cooper Thought grow up really out of a student-led initiative. It's been very much from Dr. Furman and Mrs. Reineker's when it began 3 years ago, to see this group grow up to the point of what it's doing has been really neat. And this year has been a new addition with us with the senior projects. What Sydney did this year for mental health has been replicated by every senior in a topic that they're passionate about. I believe Sydney, she was one of the first ones that really moved forward with it. You can see her great work that she shared with you. But all our seniors are taking on a project that's personally interesting to them this year as part of English, and they're going to be sharing all their results out in a symposium in May, which will certainly forward out the information about that. But I quickly went through my list of things that they've reached out to me just to share some of the different topics, from Sydney with mental health, to the issues of prejudice within our schools, to how movies portray gender roles, worldwide medicine needs, to ethical considerations, healthcare needs in terms of the healthcare debate even in our current country, global warming, issues of race, dress code, stem cells, peer pressure. And that's just a small sample of all the different projects our students have been undertaking. It's been neat to see their work. Many have come to talk to me or other administrators where they're interviewing students throughout the district to get insights, and it's been neat to see all of that develop. So I'm looking forward to you being able to see many of their finished products here in about a month when they wrap all those. Actually, they'll be graduating in a month, so I guess it's about, hard to believe, about 3 weeks or so that they'll be presenting all their work. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ellis. Dr. Stoltz?
Right, now on the other end, thank you for letting me highlight a few things about Yorkshire Elementary. I thought since we're coming down to the end, I'll talk about our last 2 months of school, starting with April. We started with Lego Bingo. Lego Bingo, along with our Dance-a-thon, are our 2 PTO fundraisers. And we have a very active PTO, and their philosophy is having a lot of family fun. And we do have a lot of very involved families. We were able to raise a little over $5,000 with our Lego Bingo. It was fun. Between the 2 sessions, the families went roller skating, and we even had Yorkie Bear roller skating, and he had to dance off with the mascot of the roller skating rink. So with our funds from our fundraising, we're able to provide the transportation for field trips, have special programs that our children go to. For example, the whole school tomorrow is heading to the Strand to see the live performance of the Velveteen Rabbit. This is along with the Performing Arts for Schools. The York Symphony came in February with 5 musicians, and they do a musical interpretation of the book. Every teacher gets a copy of the book. And now we have the school-wide field trip to the Strand tomorrow. As Dr. Ellis said, in April, we had our first round of kindergarten screening this year. Our format for registration was different this year. Before, for those of you, and there's a couple of people in the building that came into the building for kindergarten, the parents did the registration, all the paperwork part, while the children did the screening. Well, this year, with a lot of tech work behind the scenes, I'm seeing Mr. Henry back there, all of the parent part, all of the online, the paper part was done online, so that all of the verifications of birth certificate, residency, all that was done before the children came to the building for the screening. So it was a very efficient time. They met with the reading specialist, and the idea is to get an idea of some beginning skills, a little bit about temperament and such. I meet with the families, and it helps us with our class placements. We'll have another screening next month, and then as they continue to come in over the summer, we'll meet with them individually that way. Last week we had our arts night, and it was a beautiful display of singing. This was the first year that we had kindergarten, so our kindergarteners sang. We had a full gymnasium of families, and then they toured and saw the art that was in the hallways, and we did the same for first and second grade. So now moving into May, we're doing something new this year. This was an idea brought in from a parent of a kindergarten parent, and she said, have you ever done Screen-Free Week? And I said, no, we haven't, but we're going to try Screen-Free Week. So that starts up from the beginning. It's a week in May. I brought some brochures if you want to come to any of our special programs. Maybe you want to sign up to be screen-free for a week. How's that sound?
Sounds good to me.
Along with that, I'd like to just do a little of education with the parents, just about how much time children are on screens and some of the impact that it's having on their learning. And so we're just trying to heighten some awareness with that. So with our Screen-Free Week, we have a play that's coming into our school in the evening. It's free for the parents. We ask that they bring a school supply because we're always trying to build up our school supply closet for those parents that are unable to provide school supplies. It coincides with our book fair, our ice cream social, a pizza time, and a time just to play on the playground. We want kids playing. That's really important. In the month of May, we have Countdown to Kindergarten. That's an opportunity for our incoming kindergartners to come into the building in the evening. They do a little activity with each of the kindergarten teachers, and again, it's just an idea to get a feel for this new exciting thing for them, which is school. Lots of field trips are going on, both outside of the building and in the building. Susan Burns right now is coming into the building to do programming for our first and second graders. Towards the end of the month of May, we have Beach Day with bubbles and snow cones. And we can't forget that we are also doing our benchmarking to see our student growth in our reading, writing, and math. And then at the very end, I have a kindergarten parent here. We have kindergarten graduation, which is both a sad and exciting time. And also, we're going to be doing our high school graduation walkthrough again. And that was a wonderful tradition, and I'm glad that is starting or continuing. And then finally, I just want to say thank you to the board for bringing us full-day kindergarten. It's worked out so wonderfully, and I think Dr. Ketterman did do a report on just anything that we had worried about with children being there all day and maybe what types of behaviors we are seeing. We're not seeing it, and I think it's just because we are able to take what we've done in a half a day and stretch it out and add mindfulness, add the specials, and just do things at more of a kid pace. So I thank you for bringing us that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Schultz. That concludes my reports.
Business office report, Ms. Mason.
First item, the administration recommends board approval of facility use agreement with the bond for Saturday, January 19, 2019, for the snow cone winter dance event for a total cost of $687.50. So moved.
Roll call.
Just short.
This would be considered a unanimous roll call vote unless other votes to the contrary. Hearing none, motion passes. Next item, the administration recommends board approval of the renewal of the contract for Wilson's Culinary Group as a food service management company for the 2018-19 fiscal year. So moved.
Second.
This will be considered a unanimous roll call vote unless other votes to the contrary. Hearing none, motion passes. Next item, the administration recommends board approval of the Sea Power Master Service Agreement for the period June 1st, 2018 through May 31st, 2020 for enrollment in the curtailment program. This program means that the district's ways to increase load reduction in response to events or tests that primarily take place during the summer months. Being a part of this program, the district does receive reimbursement. There is no additional expense.
Second. Questions? Yeah.
We have done something similar to this on the same program in the past. Can you tell me how often this might actually come into play and how much we save?
We don't have an idea of how much we save. Usually it's called the demand response program. Usually happens at least twice over the summer months, and they generally give us at least a few days warning. Sometimes it's up to a week if they're going to be doing this. One's usually test, and then one it could happen because there is an event to cut back. It's usually somewhere done somewhere between 2 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
How long does it last? Just an hour or?
It depends. It varies whether it's an event or a test.
And we have no idea. Did we do something to this similar to this in the past?
We have done this in the past. This is being brought to the board because it's a contract, it's a signed contract. That's why it's being brought to the board. We've done it in the past, but haven't had the signature requirement that is required of it now.
I'd like to see a report perhaps during, in the fall.
There's really not a report with this. What it ends up is we get a check.
Okay, tell us how much we get back based on that. Give us some idea.
It averages about $10,000 a year.
Oh, okay. Okay, fine. Thank you.
Question answered.
Okay.
Okay.
No, I know.
This could be.
This would be considered a unanimous roll call vote unless anyone votes to the contrary. Hearing none, motion passes. Next item, the administration recommends board approval of an annual contract with Thomas & Baumberger for pest control and one-time tick spray district-wide for a total of $5,890.
So moved. So moved.
Second. Questions? This could be short.
This would be considered a unanimous roll call vote unless anyone votes to the contrary. Hearing none, motion passes. If you look at the end of the agenda, there is an addendum item. The administration recommends board approval of advertising and soliciting of bids for the ceiling of district parking lots.
So moved. I understand this is going to be done over the next 2 summers, is that correct? Or
Yes,
some of them
because
is
this year, this particular one is to do high school, Valley View, the stadium, and Indiana.
Okay, so just, okay, and we'll have to do this then again next year, is that the idea?
Correct.
Just, okay.
Any other questions? This could be short.
This will be considered a unanimous roll call vote unless anyone votes to the contrary. Hearing none, motion passes. Okay, the informational item, you all received in your portfolio a ballot for the York School of Technology for their land purchase. This has required several approvals. The Joint Operating Committee first had to do an approval, which they did on March 29th, 2018. Then the New York County School of Technology Authority, by a majority of the vote, had to approve it as well, which they did on April 5th. And now it's come to the joint board, which is all the 126 board members of the 14 districts that you belong to the School of Technology. So each board member has to vote by ballot. Your ballots need to be returned to me, and then I need to return them to the solicitor for the School of Technology, so that they can go ahead and purchase the land. And I will defer to Mrs. Schrader if you have any outstanding comments. She's our representative.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify if there were any questions. It's been discussed, the purchase of this land. We need to get a vote from every individual board member. You've marked your ballot and return it to Corrine. But if there are any questions or concerns, now's the time to ask. Yes.
Just one for the benefit of the audience. Is there anything in the long-range capital plan for the School of Technology to utilize this land?
Nothing specific yet. It's hopefully to be used expanding into a vocational agriculture program, given that this is farmland. It's landlocked right now. If there would be any opportunity for expansion, this land would be essential for that, obviously, in terms of growth. There's a pretty much a nationwide emphasis on technology education right now, and the hope would be that, it would be used in that regard. Now, I will defer. We have Bill Lytle, who is our president at the JOC. If you have anything to add regarding that question.
Just for that question, for transparency, we are in current development of the gym.
Yes.
Annexation. At this point, we're not planning on building on the footprint of the land. In fact, we may not keep all the land, depending on how the CAS flow goes. But for the gym expansion itself, right now we're currently built out at 41% of our property, of our current footprint. So we can only develop up to 50%. So we have a similar issue that you have in your own district, that this gives us additional green space so that we can add on to the footprint or even address, we can do a more efficient design with the gym in the impervious area actually, just by having this land. The other issue that we have is parking and stormwater management. The extra green space will help us reduce the cost of that. We can handle that by deflecting the water flow onto the property, as opposed to Bill right now we have to spend probably about $400,000 for underground water tanks to control the proposed development. So at this point, there are no long-range plans for the land itself, but there's immediate short-term benefits by this acquisition.
Thank you for that. Anything else? Yes.
So how does the cost of this property, is it per acre, compare to market?
It's a bargain.
We were able to, it was originally assessed at 3.9 3 years ago. No, I understand, I don't either. It was on the market for 3.6. And currently, we were able to do it, when we finished it, the deal on the table was 1.8, which is currently $32,000 an acre. There was a property at Dewdrop, John Colley, Alliance just bought that for 33 an acre, so it was comparable. The family, we bought land before, 6 acres. The last project, we had to acquire it and through eminent domain. We ended up paying $124,000 an acre. That was a dozen years ago. So Yes, to your question, we are completely satisfied that the price is there, and that it's of value. The family had the intent of, we were scared to death, to be honest with you, because they proposed, there was a developer that was going to put a high-density development in last fall. And if you also are aware of where Wright Brothers has gone, all the adjacent land is gone at that next to the school. So it is more protection. And again, the family's basis right now is, I think, $1. So I would like to think I was a good negotiator, but I think it was more the fact that 50% of the sale proceeds were going to go to the government anyway. That I think they were somewhat altruistic and trying to make sure they were benefiting the county and school of technology by giving us a bargain instead of seeing a gift as opposed to a bunch of taxes. I think that answers it.
Anything else? So if you mark your ballot and get it down to Corrine tonight, that would be great. And thank you for your time and help on this.
Appreciate both of you.
The food service report, the dining report for March is there, and the sales activity report and questions on that. That concludes my report.
Present, please.
So the spring sports season is underway after months of loving presentations, but I want to start off with giving you current standings and the goal teams. So the boys lacrosse team is currently 6-4, girls lacrosse 2-7, baseball is 3-3, softball is 4-2, boys volleyball 5-4, tennis 9-1, boys track 4-0, girls track 1-3, and then the track teams also participated in the York Suburban listed punishment invitational, to which boys won and girls placed second. As for other activities at the high school, the Project Harmony Club is currently making a mural that says Unity, and it's actually going to be placed right up on the high school wall, the cafeteria wall. And it's going to be woven with thousands of strips of fabric, which every student in each school in the school district is writing their name on. That will be revealed next year. Students also participated in the walkout on last Friday to stand against gun violence. This took place during the lunch periods, and ABC 27 covered some of the speeches that students made. The Trojan Theater is also presenting their spring show titled You Can't Take It With You. This will be on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Tickets are $10 for students and $10 for adults and $6 for students. Cloak and Confidence will have their prom dresses in the lobby on Thursday for students to look through and pick up for free. The ensemble that was in Shrek musical in March, they performed at Encore yesterday, and I heard they did really well. I know Inspired can vouch for that. So that's really exciting. May 1st is the Senior Awards. That will be in the high school auditorium. Saturday, May 5th is York Suburban will be hosting the SAT, and that is also the same day of Distinguished Young Women, which 3 York Suburban students are participating in. It's also a concert season again. And Wednesday, April 25th is the middle school band and orchestra concert. Wednesday, May 2nd is the middle school art show and chorus concert. And Thursday, May 3rd is the high school band, orchestra, and chorus concert. District-wide, the students had a breakfast, a free breakfast week for students last week, and they actually broke the record of the number of breakfasts served in one day, which was over 1,000. On May 4th, the 8th graders are going to be taking a tour of the high school with the crew members as their tour guides, and this is also the same day as the 8th grade coming. At Indian Rock and East York, the SSA tournament session and pieces are coming up soon in high school. So it's really busy times right now in spring, but 24 more school days until seniors graduate. Not that anyone's counting. But that's the report.
Thank you.
Just add one more thing that Elise alluded to, was the Encore program. And I had the privilege of going there yesterday, and I'd like to thank the Stayer who's here in the audience tonight for taking the time to bring the ensemble to participate with 14 other districts. And for extent, the school technology was there for the first time. I was thinking that was really exciting. A couple of participants who weren't there, but it was good to see the technology and Suburban there for a super job.
The committee meeting schedule is linked and also available. Communications Committee report, Mr. Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Posnow. The activity and communication reports are provided. The committee would also like to add that they have initiated a collaborative partnership with Springersbury Township. The next issue of the Township newsletter will contain an article about York Suburban. So I know all of you residents of Springersbury Township are looking forward to this publication with breathless anticipation. We'll be meeting later on this week. You're all welcome to join us. That concludes my report.
Ms. Farrar.
You have before you the minutes of the February 14th meeting. And I would like to say that at our meeting this month on the 11th, the committee and several people from the maintenance staff and our architects took a tour of East York so that we could see what projects were going to be done or attempted to be done this year. This is coming summer at East York, and then what is in store in next summer and maybe the summer afterwards as far as doing ongoing upgrades and work at East York, which is our oldest buildings and really is in need of some help with looking at cabinetry and carpeting and with the doorways and things of that nature. We also looked at sort of an ongoing issue in the front entrance that we might like to take care of sooner rather than later because people seem to miss the step coming up to the front door. So we're going to take a look at that sooner rather than later. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Mr. Sears.
Thank you, Mr. President. We met on April the 18th, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. 7 board members were present, 3 of the committee members and 4 from the board at large. So tonight's report is addressed to the 2 folks who were unable to make that meeting and to the audience. We called the meeting to order at 5 o'clock. We approved the minutes at 3:22. They are attached on the link to your online version. I believe there's copies of them on the desk. If not, we can provide those for people who need hard copies. Ms. Macy gave her report, covered 4 items, actually more than 4. 3 main items and 4 sub-items. We talked about the facility rental schedule. Has to be updated annually. That will be on next month's agenda for approval, along with approval of our broker of record, which is the Flat Filter Agency. Stockton Leader is our solicitor. We also heard about the food service budget, for which a $190,000 surplus is projected this year, and we learned that that can only be used within the food service area itself, which, just a little parenthetical comment, is that essentially we're overcharging for food. That's the only way I can interpret that. We're not really allowed to take these efficiencies that we've gained and use those in the general budget. So we can use those for things like new tables, and I think we also can use that to pay for the free breakfast. So as long as we keep it within the budget, we're allowed to use that money. But to me, it's a bit of a dilemma that school boards across the Commonwealth, in fact, they're probably this way across the nation, are required to charge a certain amount of price for their, or a certain level for their lunches and their other revenue-generating meals, which are essentially way above cost. I find that to be a bit distressing, because that means that our parents are subsidizing the rest of us. I think that's an interesting concept. We might want to, sorry about the quality of the sound. I'll take it to a higher level, maybe some advocacy to straighten that out. We also got an update on our insurance. This is the health insurance, and the issue there was stop loss. There are some outstanding bids now. I'm not sure if that's been resolved, but it looks like things are moving in a very favorable direction for the district. We did pilot free breakfast, see above, so we were able to fund that with internal funds. I gave a bit of a report using House Bill 1213 as an example of something that concerned me, which was the use of taxpayer funding to finance anti-taxpayer advocacy. And without talking about any specific issue, the organization to which we belong, which is the Pennsylvania School Boards Association, is a strong advocate for public education. And a good bit of what they do is apolitical and frankly doesn't have any particular impact, at least in the opinion of some of us, on one particular taxpayer group or another. But there are issues for which there are some of us who think that the 30 or 40% who might be in favor of a position are being subsidized by the 70% who are not. And for me, that's a concern, and I took some time on the agenda to talk about that. The last item of information was related to charter school tuition. In the past, charter school has been managed. I'm going to give this one to Kareem, if you don't mind, because it gets a little sticky, just what the methodology was and what we think it might become for dealing with charter school tuition and charter school payments.
The methodology was that the Pennsylvania Department of Education used a form they call it PD 363, and districts needed to fill this out in a way that PD had determined needed to be filled out to come up. It was formula driven, if you will. So we could essentially give the charter schools a rate they were billing us for instructional students and for special ed students. The charter schools actually took PE to court and won, saying that the outcome was that the charter school law was not being followed the way PE had interpreted it. So now what's happening is PE has worked with ASBO and the governor's office to come up with a way that the charter school law is being interpreted correctly, and is helping all the districts work through that to be able to essentially redo the formula for this year that we have been working on in the past few years.
Thank you. And I guess cutting to the chase on that, there might be some exposure. We don't know at this point, but the district may be exposed to some additional payment. That was it. There was no public comment. Our next meeting will be May 16th at 5 p.m. and we adjourn at 6 o'clock. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Mr. Robinson, back to you. Personnel.
Thank you, Mr. Boznow. The minutes of March 13th are provided. You have before you a consent agenda. You have before you the personnel report, which includes positions and agreements, reassignment, recommendations, salary recommendations, retirement, resignation, employment, leave of absence, volunteer spring coach and volunteers. Would any board member like any of these items considered separately, or are there any questions on any of these items? If not, the chair moves the approval of the below mentioned items.
This would be considered a unanimous roll call vote unless something votes to the contrary. Hearing none, motion passes.
And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Lincoln and immediate unit. Ms. Farrar.
I have no report, but I'll refer on your guys' account, if that's okay with you. A specific report, and our meeting that we normally take place tomorrow evening has been canceled in deference so that all of our members may attend the White House stopping the dinner tomorrow evening. So I thank everybody on the YAA board for being willing to do that and being hosted for dinner. That concludes my report.
Ms. Mason.
The report.
County School of Technology.
Other than our vote, please get those ballots marked and turned in. We have a meeting Thursday night, so that concludes my report.
Once again, I would like to welcome Dr. Williams. And, I think we'll be seeing a lot of him in the next several years, so welcome again. You have the board meeting and committee schedule posted online and available, and last call for public comment.
I'm Dick Raw, and I've previously introduced myself as Lady Tabor. I'm curious here under this reassignment recommendations for administrative non-classified evaluation, and there's two persons, one is 71,000, the other is 60,000, 629. Wonder what their function is. Maybe we can talk about the function of these two persons.
The job descriptions are posted. The job descriptions are posted, so you can see exactly what they do. Where? Online. Yeah. And they're also on the tape.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Raul. I reside at 502 Wynwood Road, York, Pennsylvania. First of all, I would like to also share my gratitude. Thanks, Dr. Redding, for your interim leadership of the school district. You've done a fine job. We really appreciate what you did. And obviously to the board members and the time commitment, again, that you do to serve this board. Really appreciate it. And I too want to say, thank you for the adoption of the full day kindergarten and for what Dr. Stoltz did along with her committee members. It just made sense. She provided the report. It just made absolute sense. And I just really appreciated the update and the success that the program's been having. But first of all, what I'd also like to do, I forgot. By the way, welcome, Dr. Williams, and congratulations on your new position. So there's obviously a lot of interest in the fact that we want to ensure success for him, as well as the administration. So in that vein, I'd also just like to talk a little bit about the process, or basically the plan to ensure that there's a well thought out plan to ensure there's good integration into the school system, just to make sure there's no colossal distractions, just to make sure that, again, that, around the different things, being on the focus group, participating on that, just making sure those items are addressed that we shared. I just want to know, I don't know if it's a part of the Sunshine Act, but what is the plan? Are you able to share this, the 30, 60, 90-day plan to ensure there's good onboarding, good integration into the school district, that there is really good, again, training and development for him?
I can say that while there isn't a published 30, 60, 90-day plan, initially is to get Dr. Williams familiar with the organization. He has also seen all the results from the focus groups, so he's aware of where everybody is. One of the first things we will be doing is sitting down with Dr. Williams to establish, kind of clearly define the goals for what we consider success as a board. So that will be happening over the first few months of his tenure as he gets to know the community. I'm not sure if that helps.
So is it possible to share what that would look like? Any details into what that would?
Probably not yet.
Okay.
But soon, stay tuned, and we will share it.
That works. Thank you.
Nothing is hidden. Okay. Thank you.
I just wanted to say hats off to the York Suburban Education Foundation. Their function Saturday night was very well attended, and I enjoyed it myself very much. It was so nice to see the input of the community and the hard work the volunteers have put forth to accomplish the grants for the classroom teachers. So I just wanted to say hats off. I know Mrs. Reiniger is here, and just wanted to say thanks to the board of the foundation and for all the work you've done. Thanks.
Last but not least, we'll have a short reception after adjournment back here, so you'll get an opportunity to meet and greet with Dr. Williams and get to know him a little bit. So with that, if nobody else has any comment, we are adjourned. Thank you.